Welcome back to our Hot Sauce. With the summer on its way, the weather warming up, it begins to get a little busy on the roads. It's a busy driving season, and it's important to stay safe. That's why we're here with attorney William Mattar, and you have a few little tips about seatbelts. So before we get into anything, let's talk about why it's so important to wear your seatbelt.
Well, seatbelts really can help save your life. I mean, if you're buckled in, you're less likely to be seriously injured or die as a result of a motor vehicle accident. So it's very important to be wearing your seatbelt. What happens is that my generation, when we were growing up, we didn't wear seatbelts. When we were little kids, we were thrown in the back of the station wagon and no one would be wearing their seatbelts. And so at this time, most people can kind of get in the car and kind of think about wearing their seatbelts, but there's still a bunch of people that don't. And the reason that you want to be wearing your seatbelt is because there's problems on the roadways. I mean, sometimes there's road conditions that are dangerous, there's potholes and people swerve, or the biggest problem is a lot of times there's people that don't pay attention. I mean, so there's people that are still texting and driving or on the cell phone. And I think everyone has come to the situation where they're driving themselves and they've been in a situation where they go, man, that was risky, or that was dangerous. I think everyone has a little times during the times when they're driving when they're having a problem.
Now, you know, when I get in my car, I always buckle up, and if someone else gets in my car, I always make sure that they're buckled up. But for someone that's driving, if their friend gets in a car or a relative and they don't buckle up, you know, how can we have that conversation and say, look, please, you're in my car, buckle up?
Well, that's basically it. I mean, I've done that. I mean, I had that problem with my kids when they were younger, and you basically say, if you're in the car, if you want to come with me, please put your seatbelt on. And now I've had situations where I've had older adults in my car, and they weren't as comfortable before, like putting their seatbelts on, because they never did when they were growing up. And you have to just say, you know, you have to put the seatbelt on. And a lot of the new cars now, at least in the front seat, they have the beeper, so it's easier in the front seat with people kind of, if you're not putting your seatbelt on, it'll beep. Some people try to put the seatbelt in and then sit on top of it. That's not very safe.
Now, it's always hard to talk about what ifs, but do you deal with a lot of cases that, you know, if a person would have been wearing a seatbelt, it could have made that life, you know, saving decision, that life-saving moment right there?
Well, we represent obviously a lot of people that are seriously injured all the time, and so we deal with that. On occasion, there's you see accidents where people have not worn their seatbelts, and they can really they've been injured. And about 5 years ago, 10 years ago now, I was the first person on to a multiple death car accident, and the people that lived were the ones closest to the car. The people that weren't, when the car was flipping out and they flew out of the car, if they're in the car, they probably would have been alive, but they weren't wearing their seatbelts and they were thrown out of the car, and they died. And so if you wear your seatbelt and you're in your car, you're safer.
And you know, if the safety reason isn't enough, you also have an incentive for people out there to make the pledge to buckle up.
Correct. And so what we have is the William Mattar Buckle Your Belt program. And what it allows people to do is to go to our website, williammattar.com, and read about seatbelt safety. If they agree to wear their seatbelt 100% of the time while traveling in a motor vehicle, you get to register to win a free trip to Fern Resort for 4 people.
And, you know, alone, I think safety reason is ahead, but why not enter to win a contest along the way? Thank you so much for coming in. And for people out there, it's a preventative measure. It can definitely save your life. So please, please buckle up. But right now, we're going to head over to Lauren with our .com check.